If you want to make it really big in this world, I'm talking like materially successful, you want the big house and the big car, you want the respect in society, and you want to be a real authority, I'll give you a really simple recipe of how you can do this. All you have to do is be really cunning, manipulative, spineless, cowardly, greedy, lustful, incredibly materialistic, selfish. Basically, just be a complete narcissist. And that will get you to the top. And in fact, it will be so easy for you that the opportunities will just attract themselves to you. It will require very little mental effort on your part. There might be some physical effort involved. You do have to seize opportunities. But I can assure you that it won't require a huge amount of ambition and intention on your part. It will just happen. If you harbor those values, the opportunities, you won't have to seek them out. You won't have to dig those opportunities out. They will just come to you. But if you harbor those values, it will happen. Very much law of attraction style. And I can guarantee that. But if you're thinking I'm sounding very melodramatic, melancholic, just being flippant, then I will just ask you to do one thing. And that is just look at the people around you. Look at the people that are in your vicinity, or the people that you follow, that you look up to, that you aspire to, right? That you give reverence to, and just look at their lives. Just really examine their lives. And I guarantee you that if you look hard enough, you will see a number of these traits in those people that have made it to the top. The selfishness, the narcissism, the greed, the lust. You will spot those things. And if you can't see those things, then that only means one of two things. That either means that you yourself are like that. You don't see those traits as bad because they're in you, so you can't see those bad traits in others. Or is that you've learned to associate material success with that being Allah's blessing. So you think that if somebody is materially successful, they must be blessed by Allah. What you're failing to recognize is that in many cases, Allah is actually testing them with the wealth. They're actually undergoing a trial. And you not having wealth is actually probably a blessing for you. So you've learned to associate them going through a trial or a test as Allah's blessing. And so you associate that with khair, you associate that with goodness. And so what happens is you can't actually see these traits in those people. It's not that they're not there. It's just you've veiled yourself from it. You can't see it because of the association that you've made in your mind. Of course, there is the exception. There will be a limited number of cases where the people that have made it to the top have made it because Allah has blessed them. They do have barakah in their wealth. But because Allah is the provider of risk, He's a sustainer. He chooses wealth for whoever He wills. He gives risk to whoever He wills. So it's not a complete impossibility. But the general rule for the time that we live in right now is that anybody who's made it to the top is probably not blessed. And if you're wondering why that's the case, and if you still don't believe me as to how I could make such drastic statements, then all I have to say to you is simply this. We are living in a morally corrupt time. And the financial system, the economics that govern us have the same values of them being cowardly, spineless, greedy, selfish, all of those things. And so what happens is when you have those values inside of yourself and you are governed by the system that rewards that, you will naturally be rewarded by that system, because that's the time we're living in right now, all over the world. Everywhere you look, there is corruption. Everywhere you look, the people at the top are acting very, very selfishly. You just look at exactly what's going on right now in the news, on Twitter, on social media, wherever you go, you will see it everywhere. This is happening everywhere. You can see signs of it all over the place. But these people are rich. These people are the elite. These people are at the top. But look how they're operating. They're operating with extreme selfishness, extreme greed, extreme immorality, all of those things. And the system is rewarding them for now. It doesn't mean that they're winning Allah's pleasure, but the system itself on this earth is rewarding them. And they are rising to the top. Rasulullah said, you only know somebody if you travel with them, you do business with them, or you live with them. So, if you're only observing people superficially at afar, you just have a little dinner with them, it's not going to tell you enough about them. But if you really get to know these people, you will spot something on them. They either have very dysfunctional relationships in the household with their spouses, with their children, or they have staff in the businesses that they're running that are very much displeased with them, but they can't say anything. because they're afraid of getting sacked, or they're afraid of some sort of backlash, or the businesses that these people are running or the wealth that they've acquired is very questionable, has a lot of doubt in it, or genuinely just plain out unethical, or they're harming society in some way with the products that they're selling, with the way that they're doing business, there will be something there. And I'm not saying that you should always approach things with a very, very cynical eye and that you should just look for the bad in everything, because Allah tells us to have a good opinion of things. But it's just the time that we're living in right now that if you just allow yourself enough time to just study somebody who's made it big, you will see these things on them. It cannot be escaped. Now, you might be wondering, why am I saying this? Why am I saying something that's clearly very depressing? Why am I saying something that is of no real benefit really to me or to you? I'm saying that because if you're feeling really down, if you're feeling really depressed, if you're feeling like, why can't you just make it to the top, despite the fact that you're trying to earn halal, that you're trying to be a good citizen, you're trying not to harm society, and you're not being materially rewarded, it's because, inshallah, Allah is pleased with you. And because you are separate from this system that only rewards bad behavior, which is a good thing. And if you are already materially successful, you need to have a little bit more fear of Allah. I don't mean that in an admonishing sense. I mean, be careful. Because there is a chance that Allah is not pleased with you and you need to just be very, very careful. So I'm saying it as a helpful advice. I'm not saying it as an admonition. I'm in no position to do that with anybody. And I'm not saying that things won't change. I think change is coming. I don't know how soon and how quickly, but I do sense that change is coming at some point. But just don't be disheartened that if you haven't made it to the top, if your life is falling apart, even though you keep trying to make the right decisions and you're trying to do the right thing and you're trying to always earn Allah's pleasure, just don't be disheartened, because this system that we're living in right now, it's not for me and you. For these kind of people, it's not made for us. It's not going to reward us, and nor should we expect any reward from it. Our reward is with Allah.